Hello internet friends, Napyet here with a first impressions review of Anthem. I wanted to talk about first the elephant in the room. Most of the reviews that I've seen so far have indicated that this game is very buggy and is a bit of a mess. That's not been my experience so far at all. I'll tell you the bugs that I've experienced. I've been playing the game for roughly 11 hours and I've experienced 3 bugs. One bug was a mission that I spawned into with 4 other characters and the enemies didn't appear. I had to skip out of that mission. The other bug has been a sound bug where the sound cut out, and it's done that twice. So in 11 hours, it's the sound has cut out twice. The only way to stop that, to correct the problem, is to come out of the game, go back in, and the sound's back on. So actually in 11 hours of gameplay, I don't think that's too bad. I've played a couple of other AAA releases recently, and they've been much more buggy than that. So I'm not saying that the people who are saying this game is a buggy mess are lying. I'm just saying that's been my experience, and this is the way it is on PC. You can have a different setup and not experience any problems. So adding my voice to the many voices out there already, not too buggy for me. The problem that I have encountered is load times. Now, I don't have a particularly powerful PC, but most games don't take as long as Anthem for me to load. Initially loading into the game and loading into missions. I was at the stage where I was loading into missions long after the other players on that mission. By the time I appeared, they were already halfway down the map. And that was happening consistently for me. So I've had to work on that a little bit with the game. I took it off my hard drive and put it onto a hybrid drive, which has helped a little bit. I've also cranked down the graphics settings to try and mitigate this load time issue. That's helped a little bit. So if you encounter that, do consider putting it on as fast a drive as possible, because this game seems to need it. Really pretty long load times. So those are the bugs, those are the issues that I've experienced with the game so far. What is the game actually like to play? It's really nice. It's obviously in the same vein as something like Destiny, a looter shooter, and it definitely fulfills that itch. I didn't particularly get into Destiny, but I like that form of quick fire gameplay. Multiplayer, drop into a mission, shoot stuff, loot stuff, and get out pretty quick. The missions are pretty quick as well. I would say each mission for me averages between 10-20 minutes per mission. Some of the story missions seem to be a little bit longer. I've yet to go into any really hard missions like strongholds where you have to really coordinate with people. But the basic missions are pretty good, and it's worth going in with other players because you get extra rewards. And anything too complicated you would need to VoIP with people. But the average mission is pretty doable for 4 players who are just doing their own thing. You will see when someone's down, someone's incapped. Everyone goes and gets people up in my experience and helping each other. So that seems to happen naturally. You're very enjoyable, very kind of, you feel very chunky in these javelin mech suits that you're wearing. That harkens back to something like Warframe, but maybe a little bit more classic sci-fi than something like Warframe, which has that organic, otherworldly view. This is something I would say it almost feels, the mech suits and the world feel a little bit more grounded than something like Warframe. Perhaps like a cross between a Blomkamp sort of District 9 Elysium style movie, that kind of technological future mixed with something like Star Wars. The world itself, or Dune, the world itself feels kind of almost antiquated. People are wearing robes and almost like desert garbs in these cobbled together in this barely functioning sci-fi future. So I kind of like the world, and it has that sci-fi thing that I think is more interesting, being a sci-fi fan and having watched a lot of galaxy spanning and played a lot of galaxy spanning universe ending adventures. The kind of specificity of something like Anthem is interesting. It's about really at this stage one planet, the situation on that planet, and one town on that planet. And I kind of like that in science fiction. It's a little bit easier to kind of feel emotionally invested in this specific story rather than a galaxy spanning adventure. And the world is really interesting. I don't think I've played anything quite like this kind of looter shooter that has this verticality within it. The kind of levels, it seems like the levels are as high as they are long, really. There's lots of great towering mountains, drops and stuff in this tropical lush landscape. It's really interesting. It's really interesting. In terms of the Bioware story, there's loads of characters in the town for you to talk to, and they have those long dialogue things. You can get to know them. And the voice acting is generally pretty good. There are, as with anything like this, the personal choice in terms of which characters you really identify with and stuff. There are certain characters that unfortunately really annoy me. There's a character that is your kind of guy behind the computer in your ear who's talking to you as you go on missions, called Owen. Who for me is a little bit annoying, and luckily he's not there every mission, and he's not too bad. It's just one of those things where you take a bit of a but generally the voice acting is pretty good, and the mocap is pretty good as well. Particularly in the opening, there were some facial expressions and stuff that I thought were really unique and kind of well observed, that you don't always get. Sometimes you just get these flapping mouths and people gesticulating with their arms. That's not how people do really speak. The characters were really emoting, and they captured that in the animation, which draws you in and stuff. So it definitely has that lived in world. These characters are struggling against a hostile landscape, and they have to really fight to survive. The javelins are kind of the front line of defense, but you've fallen out of favor with the populace after this world-changing event, and you got to get basically up the reputation of the javelins and the freelancers. So the pilots are called the freelancers, and that's basically your mission at the start. So like I say, I'm 11 hours in, so I haven't got that. I don't know how the story progresses beyond that really, and I don't want to spoil it in this review. I love the music. The music is really good. You get the soundtrack. I got the Origin Premium to try out the game, so I got the soundtrack for free. In terms of buying the game, that's maybe worth talking about, your different options. I wanted to try it out, so basically I paid for the Origin Premium and then I cancelled it to avoid the recurring subscription. So I only paid $14.99 for the game for a month, and I've got access to the game. So ideally I would just like games to be cheaper. I'm not going to pay £50 for a new release when I haven't even played a demo of it. And no matter how, if the reviews are really good, but the reviews for this haven't been really good, so I really wanted to try it out. And in this case, the kind of subscription option was a good option to kind of try it out. If I want to play it beyond that, I've got to kind of resubscribe, haven't I, or buy the full priced release. But I do find that these days I'm not playing games for months and months on end anyway, the way I used to. So kind of plopping down £15 for monthly access when I feel like it, I'm not sure if that's a good idea for me. It's just as long as I can cancel it easily, as you can subscribe and cancel that subscription. I don't like the recurring thing, but ideally I would just like the games to be cheaper. If it were 40, I would have possibly bought it outright, but 50 for the standard edition is too much for me. And how much is I just checked how much is the Legion of Dawn edition, is £62. Yeah, it's just a little bit too steep. You knock £10 off that, I might be more tempted to buy it outright, but subscription option for me in this case. In terms of monetization, it's all in there, kind of microtransactions and stuff for you to buy skins and buy different customization options. As I've been going through at the moment, I've felt very little need to buy any of the things that are on offer. I seem to get enough loot through missions and enough variety of guns and things naturally through playing the game. And you seem to get a decent list of kind of colours early on, so you can colour the mech how you like. You can do different textures on the skin, so you can come up with some interesting designs right from level 1 really. Other stuff opens up later in the game, but the options at the start are pretty good. You don't have to spend £20 to unlock red. You've got a good palette of colours from the beginning, and the microtransactions really aren't in your face. I think they're pretty expensive if you do go that route, but like I say, I haven't really felt the need to do that at this stage. As I get towards the end game, perhaps the frustration of I really want a particular customization option that's going to take me some grinding to get, and then you're going to look at maybe buying it outright. with a microtransaction, but I haven't felt the need to do that yet. After the tutorial, you get to choose which is going to be your basic javelin to start, and there are 4 to choose from. There's a really fast one, there's a kind of a magic guy who uses the elements, there's a big tanky one, and there's the kind of all-rounder one, and you choose which of those 4 you want at the start, and then the other ones unlock as you level up. So eventually you'll have one of each javelin without having to buy anything like that. So I don't know. I mean, in terms of microtransactions, I don't think it's particularly egregious, and it's definitely not in your face. It's there, but it's not, you know, you've not got pop-ups every 5 minutes, you know, buy this, buy that. It seems okay. So yeah, as a looter shooter, an alternative to Warframe and Destiny, it's good. What has it got over those games that might sway you to try it? Possibly not an awful lot. I don't know why I'm playing Anthem and I never was interested in Destiny. It's probably the world itself seems more unique in something like Anthem. I like the mech idea. That's the reason I'm playing it. And the mech suits do make a difference for me. They kind of you do feel like you're wearing a suit. You know, sometimes these gimmicks basically just a skin on the same gameplay, and that was the thing that I was really thinking, does it make a difference? Yeah, it does. I feel like a robotic warrior, and it allows them to do stuff like the verticality of the levels that I mentioned, the flight, you can fly around, and that really helps in terms of movement. But it's just fun. It's fun flying around, and it breaks things up. It makes you feel, it gives you this kind of, it's just really cool to do, isn't it? Flying around on a jetpack. Awesome. So if you're looking for a looter shooter that isn't Destiny, and maybe you're a fan of Warframe and you fancy a little bit of a change for a while, I would definitely say check out Anthem. I can't speak to the bugginess for you, but for me it hasn't been too bad at all. Be aware of the load times. Try and put it on your SSD if at all possible, if you have space to do that. And yeah, consider doing the premium thing if you want to get access to the game and just kind of try it out for a little while without paying full price for it. That's what I did. Don't even think you have to go for the premium option. You can get the basic option. I think you get 10 hours of gameplay. I wanted to play for a bit longer and have access to everything, but I think you can get a more basic package. So this has been my review. Thank you for listening, and I will see you later. Bye.